Alright guys, welcome back to the news desk here, this time for the PopCultureNetwork.com. I know what you're thinking, what? This is not for I Need Comics or That New Toy Smell or anything like that? Nope. This is a straight up review for PopCultureNetwork.com. And what are we talking about today? Woo! We're talking about the Royal Rumble, the 2012 Royal Rumble. Now, this year's Royal Rumble was a pretty lackluster affair. In fact, it's so unexciting that I'm gonna get rid of this bullhorn toy because there's nothing worth shouting about on this show. And on a side note, this is available as an MP3 download because a lot of people said that they miss wrestling radio, they want to have the MP3. There you go, that's available for you guys. But for those of you watching this on video, WWE gets a little weird when you start using photographs and video clips of some of their different sporting events. So I'm instead going to be using the WWE Rumblers, and we're going to be using them to get through this show. Although one of them is going to be a regular action figure because they haven't made a Funkasaurus yet. But regardless, we do have a couple customs in there, so I'm going to thank them when we get to that part. But let's start out here. Show open with Daniel Bryan versus Big Show and Mark Henry in a cage match for the title. Now, it used to be forbidden in WWE to have a title match go on at the beginning of a pay-per-view. It also used to be forbidden to have the champion come out first. But that's what they do nowadays in WWE because, well, that's just what they do nowadays in WWE. This match was really nothing all that special to write home about. It should be noted, Mark Henry has a groin injury, really can't do a whole lot. They still had him in the match anyway because he's part of the storyline, but you can't really fault him for none of the exciting stuff happening in this match. What the match really came down to was Daniel Bryan went to climb outside the cage, Big Show climbed up and grabbed him, Daniel Bryan tried to leap down, Big Show had Daniel Bryan in his grip, and as the commentators were talking about how long can Big Show hold on to Daniel Bryan, he lost his grip, Daniel Bryan fell to the ground, and Daniel Bryan retains his title. And, you know, I don't know if he was supposed to drop him right there or if he was supposed to lift him back up or what the deal was, but it seemed pretty anticlimactic as he dropped Daniel Bryan. And, okay, well, that's the winner of your first match. Second match we had was the Diva match. This was pretty terrible for the most part. The bunch of divas in there, it's really not worth going into because it wasn't that great of a match. It ended up being Beth Phoenix and Kelly Kelly in the ring at the end. Beth Phoenix did a glam slam on Kelly Kelly to win. One thing it should be noted that Kelly Kelly did fly to the outside of the ring and got caught by all the other divas, and it was actually less scary than when she usually runs the ropes. They showed Zack Ryder coming in backstage in a wheelchair, had a back brace on. He was there with Eve. John Laryngitis showed him to a special room that was set up for him. And basically Eve got mad at Laryngitis, told him that she wished he was fired. Just terrible, terrible acting. Sub Days of Our Lives acting on this one. But still, Zack Ryder got his own special room in the back. So yay, good for him. He's here to watch John Cena's match, which is next. John Cena versus Kane. This match was so terrible, it went to a double count out. That's right, the two men were fighting, they were brawling, they fall to the outside, they're fighting outside, they go up the entryway, they're, you know, just fighting and throwing punches and throwing each other into stuff, and finally the bell just rings. What happened? Wait, what? Match is over. Referee calls for the bell, the two of them keep fighting, fight backstage. Kane takes out Cena, sees the room where Zack Ryder is, busts the door open, grabs Ryder. You know, Ryder's in the back brace, everything in his wheelchair, but he still attacks him, wheels him out to the ring in the wheelchair, gives him a choke slam in the middle of the ring, because I guess a choke slam in the ring somehow hurts more than doing it on the concrete floor in the back of the arena. I'm not sure exactly how that one works out. But John Cena runs back out to make the save. He gets choke slammed for his troubles. Eve starts crying, and she's crying real tears now. So she couldn't act in the scene earlier, but now she's able to make herself cry. Good for her, I guess, but still very dud performance there. Match was just pretty terrible. They had Drew McIntyre come down to the ring, which is odd because I'm pretty sure he was fired on SmackDown before he had a match on SmackDown, before he came out to be a lumberjack in a lumberjack match on SmackDown. So a couple weeks ago he was fired, but apparently he's still around. Had a match with the Funkasaurus, which I couldn't find a Rumbler or custom for, so I just put some Run DMC bling on this Brodus Clay figure. There you go, Funkasaurus. It was your same basic squash match that you always get with the Funkasaurus. It was great for being a Funkasaurus match. He came out, he did his dance, he had his music playing, pulled off the pants, did the pose, beat up Drew McIntyre just as quick as all his other squashes, did the pose, match was over, he left, that was it. It was pretty inoffensive, it was fun for being Funkasaurus, but at the same time, people paid $54.95 for this show. Let's see, what else did we have? Next up, we had Punk versus Ziggler. Laryngitis came down to the ring first. He called out a second referee, said he was going to be impartial. He was going to stay on the outside to enforce the rules. The real referee was going to come in to ref the match. They had everybody come down to the ring, and then Laryngitis ejected Vicky Guerrero from ringside. And CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler actually had a pretty good match. It was actually pretty exciting for the most part. It wasn't as good as some of their other pay-per-view matches, but it was still good until it got towards the end where things started to get silly. There was a ref bump. Laryngitis went to check on the ref. CM Punk had the Anaconda Vice on Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler was tapping. Nobody saw it. He got mad at Laryngitis. They turned back around. Dolph Ziggler, let's see, I think he tried to go for a roll-up, and then they hit a reverse roll-up, and CM Punk had him pinned. There was still nobody there to count it. He did a go to sleep. There was still nobody there to count it. Until finally it got to the end. He hit a go to sleep on Dolph Ziggler. The referee was, up, came to, saw it, started to count. Laryngitis slid into the ring, so you think it's going to be a screw job, but instead he counts 2, he counts 3 with the ref, gives him a thumbs up, whatever, goes out, gets the title, hands it to the referee to hand to CM Punk. He claps for CM Punk and he leaves. So the storyline is John Laurinaitis doesn't want to lose his job as general manager of Raw, but at the same time, he hates CM Punk. And somehow Triple H is announced as giving a performance review to Johnny Ace here tomorrow night on Raw, and yet John is here to replace Triple H because Triple H got fired from being the general manager of Raw, but now Triple H can come in and fire John Laurinaitis from being the general. I don't know how this works. This is WWE logic in 2012. But regardless, the match was fine. The ending was really goofy, and John Laurinaitis not doing anything at the end ended up seeing just a major letdown. Finally, we had our Rumble. Now, this Rumble was pretty much a dud from top to bottom. There was some comedy in it, which you always want, but this one seemed to have more comedy because they just didn't have the depth of roster that they normally do. Usually they bring in some very special guests. Really, all they had was Foley and Road Dogg Jesse James, Maximum Sweat figure. And there wasn't really a whole lot that was special here. It's worth noting that Lawler got called into the match, got tossed out. Booker T got called to the match. He got to fight for, 5 minutes or so, then got tossed out. Michael Cole actually got announced, went into the ring. Basically, as everybody else was fighting, he just kind of stood there and posed and made fighting stances until the next competitor was called, who was Karma, making her return. Michael Cole basically eliminates himself to keep from being eliminated by Karma, and then Karma gets eliminated, and that was the end of all the fun they had for her. Should be noted, Foley running down to the ring looked sad. I've seen 72-year-old men run to the ring better than Mick Foley was moving tonight. They had comedy with Santino and his Cobra Sock, and Foley and his Mr. Sacco. That was fun, again, but there was just too much of that kind of stuff. Kofi Kingston at one point did go over the top rope, landed on his hands, did a handstand walk to get back over to the ring steps, to get back in the ring. That was pretty cool. Not as cool as the Spider-Man move by John Morrison last year, but still pretty fun. Overall, though, not a lot of exciting stuff happening in this Royal Rumble. It didn't really set up a whole lot of stuff. And your Final Four came down to Sheamus, Big Show, Chris Jericho, and Randy Orton. And, people are like, oh, well, of course, it's going to be these big guys here at the end. Nobody exciting or special thrown in there. Final 2 came down to Sheamus and Jericho, and at this point everyone expects, well, Jericho's going to win. He came back to do a bunch of promos that he ended up not doing promos. He just danced around for the crowd and then left without saying anything. When he finally did come down and say something, all he said was, the world as you know it is going to end at the Royal Rumble. Here he is at the Royal Rumble in the match, and he gets eliminated. Sheamus wins. Nobody really cared. Sheamus will get a match at WrestleMania for one of the titles, but most likely it looks like that's going to be third match, maybe fourth match from the top for whatever title he goes for, the way other storylines are playing out. So really, overall, what you get is a Royal Rumble match that really doesn't lead up to anything anybody really cares about. People are even speculating Sheamus may lose his spot to Jericho at some point in between now and WrestleMania. So the Royal Rumble match didn't really matter. You had 2 title matches where the title didn't change, so they really didn't matter. Nothing exciting really happened in them. You got a Divas match that was a throwaway, and you got a squash match with the Funkasaurus. So that's the Royal Rumble. Not a thumbs up show, guys. I'm sorry, but it just wasn't. Now, for all you TNA fans that go, ha, well that shows you where WWE is these days, don't even get me started. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you stay tuned to PopCultureNetwork.com. We'll have another news desk tomorrow for comics. We'll have another one on Thursday for video games. And then, of course, Saturday will be your toy news desk update. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Now it is time for your friendly reminder. This year is a leap year. At the end of February, there is an extra day, February 29th. And so we have declared that February 29th, 2012 is, in fact, Tron Day! So that's the day you need to get online. You need to tweet about Tron, talk about Tron, take pictures of Tron. You need to go on message boards, talk about how Tron saved your marriage, how your mother was dying in a fiery inferno and Tron went in and saved her. Some people asked, can I talk about Cybertron? Yeah, sure, why not? Can I talk about Megatron? Yeah, you know, go ahead. Can I talk about Voltron? Well, of course. Can I talk about the Pointer Sisters' Neutron dance? You should be doing that dance all day long, especially since there was a TV special where they sang that at Walt Disney World, and there were guys dressed as Tron as their backup dancers. So I'm saying that is perfectly all okay. And let's face it, Transformers are just a rip-off of Tron anyway, right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, all you Transformers fans. So anyway, guys, don't forget, February 29th, 2012, Tron Day! Make sure you check it out, talk about Tron, tweet about Tron. You make that day all about Tron.